Food is more than fuel. It's memory, culture, and survival on a plate. Across generations, African American kitchens have carried flavors that tell stories of resilience, migration, and community. But many of those recipes have begun to fade, slipping away as elders pass on and oral traditions go undocumented. That's why, today, we're shining a light on 25 faded African American recipes you need to try. Dishes that once anchored households, churches, and neighborhoods, but are now at risk of being forgotten. These aren't just meals. They're cultural touchstones, born from creativity in times of scarcity, and carried forward with love and tradition. From one-pot stews and market pies to sweets that stretched pennies into joy. Every dish on this list has a history worth tasting. Stick with us as we uncover forgotten flavors, honor the ancestors who created them, and rediscover recipes that still belong on today's table. What's one African dish you've always wanted to try but never had the chance? African American cooking has always been a story of adaptation and preservation. Many recipes began with African traditions brought across the Atlantic, later reshaped through the harsh realities of slavery, poverty, and segregation. Cooking was rarely just about food. It was survival, resourcefulness, and community all simmering in the same pot. Ingredients like rice, okra, black-eyed peas, and yams carried deep African roots, while cornmeal, pork, and greens became staples of the American South. Generations, these dishes were passed down not by books, but by memory. Mothers taught daughters, grandfathers showed grandsons, and recipes lived in the rhythm of stirring spoons rather than written pages. That oral tradition was powerful but fragile. When younger generations left home or elders passed on, many recipes faded with them. Thankfully, some food historians and cooks have worked to preserve these treasures. Books like Jubilee by Tony Tipton Martin and Praise Song for the Kitchen Ghosts by Crystal Wilkinson capture voices and recipes once whispered in kitchens. But beyond cookbooks, it's the stories, the memories of Sunday dinners, church picnics, and neighborhood gatherings that keep these meals alive. To taste them is to honor a legacy of resilience and creativity that deserves to be remembered. We tracked down 25 traditional African dishes, each spanning regions from West Africa to North Africa and Cape Verde. Warning: by the end of this list, your stomach might file a complaint for cruel and unusual hunger. Jollof rice, a beloved West African one-pot dish featuring rice cooked in a tomato-based sauce, celebrated in Ghana, Nigeria, and beyond. Egusi stew, a hearty West/Central African soup thickened with ground melon seeds, leafy greens, and protein. A Yoruba staple. Moambe chicken, poulet moambe, the national dish of Angola and parts of Central Africa. This stew features chicken in a rich palm butter sauce. Chupa, Cape Verde's national stew of corn, beans, cassava, meat, or fish, slow-cooked and deeply savory. Harira, a hearty Moroccan and Algerian lentil and chickpea soup, traditionally eaten to break the fast during Ramadan. Light-hearted puff puff, a sweet, deep-fried donut from Nigeria, often coated in sugar. Doro wat, Ethiopia's famous spicy chicken stew, richly flavored with berbere spice, a foundational part of Ethiopian feasting. Sadza, or ugali, staple grain-based porridge, often maize, serves as the foundation for meals across Southern and East Africa. Chermoula, a North African marinade or paste for meats and fish, blending herbs, spices, garlic, and lemon. Bobotie, a Cape Malay-influenced South African baked mince dish, topped with egg custard, sweet savory, and richly spiced. Pilau, a fragrantly spiced rice dish from East Africa, especially Tanzania and Zanzibar. Shakshuka, a North African-inspired dish with eggs poached in spiced tomato sauce. Tagine, slow-cooked Moroccan stews, known for their aromatic blends and use of ras el hanout. Semolina pancakes / sfinge, North African donut-like treats. Bang soup, a palm nut stew from Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon. Bazen, Libyan barley dough, served with tomato sauce, eggs, potatoes, and mutton. Bichak, stuffed pastries from Morocco, filled with sweet or savory fillings. Chiboudien, Senegal's national rice and fish dish, recognized by UNESCO as cultural heritage. Ground nut soup, a beloved West African stew made from ground peanuts. Stuffed plantains, popular West African dish that elevates plantains with flavorful fillings. Fonio pudding / acha pudding, made with ancient African grains like fonio. Moi moi, akara, bean puddings or fritters from Nigeria. Edike Kong soup, a Nigerian vegetable soup filled with greens and meats. Mayan taushe, a hearty Nigerian pumpkin and meat soup. North African kefta with harissa, spiced meat energized with fiery harissa paste. Before we continue with the video, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's continue. So why are so many of these recipes fading from memory? Part of the answer lies in the way they were preserved. For generations, African American cooking lived through oral tradition. Recipes weren't written down, but shown, tasted, and repeated. When elders passed without teaching the next generation, some of those flavors disappeared with them. If you had to pick one, sweet bobotie or salty biltong, which would you choose for your last meal? Another reason is changing lifestyles. Ingredients like hogmaw, chitlins, or even fresh okra aren't as common in modern supermarkets, and younger cooks often lean toward faster, more convenient meals. Add to that the impact of migration. Families moving from the south to cities often left behind rural traditions, and many recipes were lost in the shuffle. North African tagines cook so slowly, you have time to read the recipe, clean the kitchen, and still wonder if it's done yet. Finally, shifting diets and health trends have pushed some dishes aside. But even if they're not everyday meals anymore, these recipes remain vital cultural treasures, worth reviving and adapting for today's kitchens. Though some of these recipes have faded, they're far from gone. Today, more chefs, writers, and home cooks are working to bring them back. Cookbooks like Jubilee and Praise Song for the Kitchen Ghosts preserve not only ingredients and methods, but the voices and stories behind them. Reconnection also happens in family kitchens. Sitting with elders, asking about how grandma used to make it, or flipping through stained recipe cards can uncover flavors thought lost. Community cookouts, Juneteenth celebrations, and church gatherings are also spaces where these dishes reappear, reminding us they still belong at the table. With cookbooks like this, cooked in an instant pot, or cornbread lightened with whole grains, the key isn't strict replication, but respect. Cooking with the knowledge that each dish carries history, resilience, and memory worth passing forward to the next generation. These 25 faded African American recipes are more than food. They are living history. Each dish carries the fingerprints of ancestors who turned little into plenty, who built community and culture around the table. By cooking them today, we honor their resilience and creativity while keeping their stories alive. So, dig into the past. Ask your family about the meals they remember. Try a recipe that's been sitting in an old church cookbook or tucked away in a box. And as you taste those flavors, remember, food is memory, and memory deserves to be preserved.